Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here on my channel. It is very gloomy outside. It's actually pouring down raining right now. It is fall and we also only have 2 months left of the year 2025. What better way than to send off these last 2 months with my 10 books that I want to finish before the end of the year, 10 before the end. I've actually never made one of these before, but I have exactly 10 books right now sitting on my TBR that I really want to tackle, and most of it is for my 25 and 25 list. However, they are definitely the books that I do want to finish. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. The first book I'm going to tackle on this list is actually one that I'm halfway through, just about. It is Cloud Cuckoo Land, or Cuckoo Land, whichever you want to say. This book I have been enjoying so much. This is the final book left on my October TBR, even though we are in the month of November and we are the 7th day into November. This was the only one that I started and I could not finish before the month ended, and I'm not even mad about that. I love this book so much and I just want to sit today and read probably about 100 or so pages of it. I am enjoying it so much, and like I said, I'm about halfway through. There's only like 500 and maybe like 60 pages. It's not too big. Yeah, 560 to 590 pages. It's still in the 500s. So this book has been very interesting and I'm so excited to find out what is the real reason behind Cloud Cuckoo Land, because right now we are following 5 different POVs and I've been loving everything that's been happening in their POVs because I just feel like everything is so interesting, so intriguing. So what better way to start it off than a book that I'm already absolutely loving. The next book that I'm hoping to tackle is none other than Red Queen. This is the start of a series that I've heard so many things about and I have never gotten around to it, but I have thrifted the first book and also the second book. I think at the same location, Desert Industries out in Las Vegas, when we were stationed out there, and I have never tackled it, and I've had this on my shelf for at least a year, if not a couple years, and I don't know too much about it. I'm kind of going in a little bit blind, but I think there's a tier system in a way between different colored bloods, and I think also, I don't know if I am 100% correct, actually on the back it does say divided by blood in big letters. So I am very excited about this book because I've heard amazing things about this book and it's very short in my opinion. I also feel like it's going to be more YA, more middle school, maybe high school, but more so middle school read, but hopefully I'm gonna love it nonetheless. My third book I want to tackle is actually a part of a world and I'm very excited to hop into it eventually. I would love to read the actual series that goes along after this. I think in a way this book is a prequel. It is none other than The Hobbit. I have seen the movies and I've seen The Lord of the Rings, but I am so interested in reading the entire series and getting to know this world from a book's point of view and just see what the hype was, but also because it's fall, it's winter, I feel like this book is going to be so amazing to read during this fall time. And even though I put this on many TBRs, I am so excited about this for the first time in a very long time. I think for the first time since I picked it up, which is exciting news to finally have a book that's been sitting on your shelf all of a sudden be so interesting that you just want to pick it up and read it and finally tackle it. Might as well hop on that feeling and kind of mood read in a way. The rain has calmed down for just a little bit, so I'm going to take my chance and move out front to give you guys a good little backdrop. However, my fourth book that I want to tackle this year is Percy Jackson's and the Lightning Thief. This is also on my 25 and 25 list. We're almost through that list. This is probably the third from the bottom list, and this is one of those that I thrifted the entire series at a Goodwill for I think like $2.99. So I have all of these books and I have also 4 out of the 5 books of the Trials of Apollo sitting on my shelf. So that's about 9 books by Rick Riordan, and I have never tackled one entire book from him or even tried to tackle a book. This was one of his series that I always heard growing up. It was very popular in elementary and middle school especially, and the Red Pyramid series. I think that's called the Kane Chronicles. However, I am so interested in this series and to see if it's like Harry Potter where I'm just gonna totally enjoy it in my 20s, and also if when I watch the movies it's going to be even more enjoyable because the movies are going to be so amazing too. I have very high hopes for this book. Next on my list is actually On the Edge by Richard Hammond. This is a guy who I've been following for a very long time. I feel like him and his 2 friends on Grand Tour, and originally it was Top Gear, watching them on the TV, reviewing cars, doing crazy challenges sometimes and unrealistic challenges, but also just enjoying driving vehicles throughout the entire world. And way back when, I think when he was still on Top Gear before they left and went to the Grand Tour, started up the Grand Tour, Richard Hammond was actually in a jet-powered dragster and he ended up crashing I think over 300 miles an hour, and he ended up in the hospital for a while, and he is very lucky to be alive, and I think this is his life a little bit before, during, and then after that crash, and I am so excited. I seen this in a Goodwill out in Las Vegas, and it was one of those that when I seen it, I've never even thought about how people I enjoy watching probably have written books or memoirs, and so I did pick it up for just a couple bucks, and I have yet to read it, even though again it's been a couple years. It's sat on my shelf, but I'm very excited to tackle this. And next we also have Red Rising. This went popular so many years ago across BookTube, and I loved this book and everybody's reviews about it. I have yet to read it, so I don't know if I'm going to actually love it, but this is one of those that apparently the original trilogy is so interesting, and I'm in a sci-fi fantasy mood. That's my favorite genre for the most part. Besides, here recently I've been really getting into more Christian fiction or just Christian in general. But this book in particular, I am so intrigued, so excited to hop in and see if I'm going to enjoy this. And of course, if I like this book, move on to the next 2 books. And maybe if I finish that trilogy, go on to the books that were added onto. I'm not 100% positive, and I don't know if this series is a completed series just yet, or if it's one of those that's still in the works, in the process of being completed. But I do know that there's about 5 books out, give or take. This next book is also the first book not on my 25 and 25 list. All the rest of them were all from that list, but this is the first one that I kind of want in a way to mood read. I've been thinking about this book a little bit off and on since I first picked it up in my free little library. I think April 2024, right before we happened to leave Las Vegas and we were moving home. And this was one of those, I think it was the only book I got from my free little libraries. However, this is a historical fiction, I do believe, or not so much fiction, but a historical book. And I think also there's like a subplot of romance and some other things that play into this, but I'm in a very much like historical mood, and I think this would be so interesting. And also, I guess there's a movie. I think this is the movie cover, but I looked this up on Goodreads and I think it has like a 4.4 or 4.1 star rating, and I think it has a bunch of reviews. So I'm very hopeful about this, and for whatever reason, I gravitated towards it. And also some of the books that are on the back, like this one in particular, this one is definitely a historical fiction book because it's a World War II. Oh, it has to be around the Soviet time, or maybe around the Soviet War. Our main character is apparently hauled away, and she is separated from her family because of the Soviet secret police and then thrown into a cattle car en route to Siberia. So apparently she spends a lot of her time maybe in a concentration camp in Siberia. But this cover was just calling to me when I first picked it up, and also there are photos inside here. So this made me more interested to pick it up because I enjoy looking at the photos when I'm reading through the book, especially when you get to that halfway point. This one's more on like the 75% mark, so it'll be interesting to see what I have read and what I haven't read when the photos come. And then again, from Las Vegas, I'm so sorry, we spent a couple years out there because of the military. We had in our local community a community garage sale, and my husband and I stumbled across these people who I knew I wanted one book in specific, and this was actually the book that I was curious about, and she happened to have it, and then she just gave me a whole stack of books, and I tried reading a couple of them, but in the end I got rid of most of them. This is the only book that I have kept. It is called Blood Sisters, and I recently just found somebody that I have been watching on YouTube for off and on maybe about a year now, and she just unhauled this book because she never got around to it. She has like 600 plus books on her TBR or on her physical TBR, and this is one of those that she's like, I don't see myself gravitating towards it, and so she did get rid of it, and it kind of made me a little bit nervous going into it, but then at the same time I remembered about how much I really kind of wanted this book. So I am excited. I do believe this is a thriller, and it's about like 3 sisters or 3 girls. They have like a little thing, tragic event or something that happens to them, and apparently there's lies involved, or maybe we get like a little bit of a mystery, or I guess it is a mystery with maybe a subplot of thriller in it. But I think this cover is so fitting, especially for fall, if you've noticed outside. I'm hoping that this is going to be a quick, fast-paced read, and if I enjoy this book, I can read either this book that they recommend on the front or some other ones that they have in the back of the book. There is hope for more books being added to my bookshelves, which maybe isn't the best of ways to think about that. We don't need a bigger physical TBR. We need to cut down on my physical TBR. My second to last book is actually a book I've recently just picked up, but it's one of those that I've also considered unhauling before even tackling it, and I haven't even owned it a year. I'm coming up on a year. However, it is The Last Thing He Told Me. It's one of those that I was so interested and I thought I'd seen it before, and then after it sat on my shelf for a little bit, I was like, I don't think I really want to get around to it. And then I seen somebody who I know personally who read it and enjoyed it, and it gave me a little bit of hope. However, I'm still to the point where I want to cross it off my list. I want to be done looking at it on my shelf, especially on my to be read shelf, because if it has to sit on my bookshelves for multiple years before I finally tackle it, I don't really want it. So I just bought it within this past year, and I already want to get rid of it without reading it. So that's the main reason why I'm putting it on this list, because no matter what, I'm going to force myself to read it this year, even if it is the very last book that I tackle and it goes into the month of January. I'm going to tackle this book, whether I like it or not. I'm going to force myself, and it's going to be a challenge, but maybe I end up loving it and it's not actually going to be a challenge. But for right now, it feels like a challenge. And I hope that makes sense, because I don't know what it is about this book. It's got a pretty cover. I've heard great things about it. It's also a Reese's Book Club book. I feel like I enjoy her book club books whenever I do find them, or at least pick them up and they have that sticker. But I have serious doubts about this book for some reason. And now we have my final book that I hope to tackle before the year 2025 ends out. This is one that I actually started, or I reread the first book, and it is a quartet, and I started in the beginning of this year. I would love to be done with the series, and also it's very fitting because we're on my favorite place to technically record videos, even though I don't record videos too much, but she is kind of what started my YouTube channel. And it's beautiful outside right now. I don't know why the rain stopped. However, it is the final book in the Giver Quartet. It is called Sun. It is also the chunkiest book because most of the books were 86 to 130 pages. This one I think is like 300 pages. It's not very big. However, for the rest of the series, it is very big, very chunky. I am so excited to finally be done with the series because I'm tired again of looking at it on my shelf, even though I just started it at the beginning of this year. But also I am excited because I think this is going to be a great conclusion, a great wrap up of the entire quartet. And I loved The Giver. That was one of my favorite. The Gathering Blue was pretty decent. I liked it for the most part, but we switched characters and we were following somebody else. But then Messenger really kind of opened my eyes to some things because it clicked certain puzzle pieces and it connected the dots, and I really enjoyed that. So I'm hoping that Sun will do a final wrap up, a final conclusion of all of these, and just answer the questions that I have burning in my mind. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed watching about the 10 books I want to finish before the end of 2025. The 10 before the end. I appreciate you guys all clicking on this video, and I hope to see you in another video here on my channel. As always, God bless.